As always, appreciate you guys being here. Cassidy, appreciate you being on time today. It's correction, very good. Improvement in your discipline.
Here 4 minutes ago.
There you go. Awesome, awesome. Happy Thanksgiving to Herd Nation out there and everybody that'll be celebrating this week. Obviously, a great opportunity to spend time with your family. I think it's a great opportunity to, one, for me and our team to be thankful for the opportunities that we've had this season, and also the opportunity to be with each other. I know we put a lot of focus on winning and playing well, which is ultra important. But I think, just enjoying the time together, being thankful to be able to play this game we all love, coach this game we all love, report on this game we all love, support this game we all love, is a tremendous opportunity and ultra thankful to be in this position as well. Obviously, last week's game, really proud of the way the guys and the coaches performed, really proud of their competitive character, competitive spirit throughout the game. Really proud of our improvement all season. Actually, it hadn't gone the way that somebody may write the script, or if I was writing it, probably wouldn't have gone this way. But last week did a really good job. I thought the O-line did a phenomenal job coming out and actually helping us run the ball with a lot of efficiency. Our quarterback played well another week without turning the ball over, which is something that we harp on consistently in our building. Defensively, I thought we did a really good job as the game got going and settling down. We got to figure out a way defensively to kind of settle down in those first couple of series. It's been something that consistently throughout the season we've struggled or kind of been on our heels the first couple of series of the game, and then we kind of settle in and play really good football for 48 minutes. And then obviously as we start to rotate guys in, the consistency level has got to continue to improve, obviously, on both sides. So really proud. Obviously this game this weekend, the next game, right? Is it a big game? Yes. Is it a big game because of who we're playing? Yes. But ultimately, it's a big game because it's the next game in our journey, and our journey is coming to an end. We fully understand the ramifications of the game. We get that. But no different than any other game, right? Regardless of what have happened this season, I told the team this yesterday. If we'd have won every game by 300 points, this game would still have the same implications. We would have to go out and play really well against a really good opponent in order to continue our season. So, no, the season has not gone the way I know a lot of the fans on the chat boards would have written it, or Tom Bragg and his articles would have written it. But we are still in the exact same position that we would have been in if everything had went perfect, right? We would still have to be playing a really good opponent at home on Thanksgiving weekend, senior day. So we got to take advantage of the opportunity. Obviously, with senior day being this weekend, I can't tell these seniors and their parents and their families and the fans how appreciative I am of this senior class. You think about it, a lot of them had an opportunity to walk away from this university in this game. They chose to come back. If you guys remember the timing of the coaching change, a lot of these guys made decisions to come back before a coach was hired. So it's not like they made the decision to come back, because we're hiring Coach Huff or we're hiring this guy. They made the decision to come back because of their love for Marshall. And I think Saturday was a great opportunity for not only our team, but our community to show our appreciation for everything they've done. This senior class has carried a huge load over the last 6 years for these guys of what Marshall is and what we stand on now. We are in this position because of their hard work, their sweat, their tears, their victories, their defeats, their growth, their maturity, both on and off the field. I think this community fully understands and probably has a great grasp on what these seniors and the rest of the guys on this team have done and how entrenched in this community they have been. To me, that's important. Yes, we would love to say, hey, it's senior day, let's go win one for the Gipper. But I think ultimately it's appreciation, show of support for what they've done. The X's and O's and the execution will take care of the victory. But our appreciation should be shown in our attendance, should be shown in how we play, should be shown in how we recognize or how we acknowledge their time here. So all of those guys, man, I truly can say that I love those guys. When you get to your 6th year of college, 5th year of college, senior year of college, you have a different maturity. So, coming in with a different set of rules, coming in with a different culture, it can be hard. Some guys left, some guys stayed, and the guys that stayed ultimately have allowed us to be in the position we're in. So, great challenge this weekend. Probably, no disrespect, probably the most difficult game we'll have all year, not because that this team is better or disrespecting another team, but it's because of the journey that we're in, where we are as far as the season, with guys, the amount of reps guys have played, with the maturity, the growth, and then obviously a phenomenal opponent coming in. I think Coach Helton does a really good job with his program. I know this is a huge rivalry for Marshall and WKU, but it's two different teams now. It's not the same. They're a different team than they were last year. They're a different team than they were 4 games into the season. To me, one of the most prolific offensive systems this year that I've seen in a long time. And I don't watch every football game in the country, but Bailey and his receivers, Stern, and the rest of those guys are putting on an offensive performance that I haven't seen in a long while, very similar to when I was at Alabama and Joe Burrow was putting on, a show with that offense when they ended up winning the national championship. And I say similar, obviously different competition, different players, but the level of consistency, the level of execution, the level of dominance that they've had, the stats speak for themselves. It's going to be a tremendous challenge for us, but ultimately it's going to come down to who executes the best. They have a really good offense. We have a really good offense. Their defense is playing really well. Our defense is playing really well. So it's going to come down to who can execute the best and the most consistent, who can eliminate the self-inflicted wounds, the turnovers, the missed assignments, missed tackles. It's ultimately what it's going to come down to. So it'll be a tremendous challenge. We're excited. And with that, we'll open up with questions.
You mentioned Bailey a second ago and about the system that Western Kentucky runs. Is it more he's a system quarterback and he's reaping rewards, or what is he doing that's making him so successful?
Well, one, I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's really good. I think he has the skill set, the tools to be a good quarterback. Obviously, I don't know him on a personal level, so I don't know his football aptitude. I don't know if he's a leader. I don't know those things. But from a skill set perspective, really good accuracy, right? That's one thing a quarterback's got to do. Has unbelievable knowledge of the system. Obviously, he's been in the system for a long time. Throws a catchable ball, and you guys say, well, that doesn't make sense. But the balls that he puts in there as far as accuracy and where the balls are allow his receivers to make plays for him. He gets rid of the ball quickly, so that means he can process, where the ball should be going based on their system. I think, when you look at the history of this system and the quarterbacks that have played in this system, I think you have to be a special quarterback to play in this system. It's very similar to take like Navy, right, in the triple option. I don't know if Dan Marino would be a phenomenal triple option quarterback. So I don't know if Bailey switched schools and played for Army, if he would have the same effect. But I do know in this system, with this culture that Coach Helton has put together, he's really maximizing his opportunities. And I think the numbers speak for himself. I don't know where he ranks, in the country or whatever it may be. But I think the numbers speak for themselves. I think the consistency speaks for themselves. Week in and week out, you kind of see consistent production from him. It's not one week, he throws for, 450 and the next week he throws for 100. I think throughout the season, consistency has been something that's been really good. And to me, that's what determines whether you're a good quarterback, good running back, good O-lineman, is your consistency over time. And he's done that.
But for your all's defense, go ahead, Grant.
I know for your all's defense, I know that there's so much talk about both offenses coming in, both top 10 offenses nationally. But from a defensive perspective, what do you all have to do to the most this weekend to get out of there with the win? And do you feel like defense is going to be what dictates this game, not necessarily the offense?
Well, I think it's going to be a combination of complementary football. I think defensively, it's the same old adage, right? The team that blocks and tackles the best will win, right? So, first of all, defensively, we got to get lined up. They play with tempo, so we got to get lined up so we don't give any gimmies away, all right? So that's the first thing. Get lined up, get the call, get where you're supposed to be. The second thing is I think we got to have unbelievable gap control because, to me, it starts up front. He does a really good job of moving in the pocket. They run the ball probably a little more than you think they do. And when they run the ball, typically – it's positive yards or a very efficient yardage plays because everybody's kind of playing the pass. So I think it starts up front. Our D-line is going to have to play good gap control, keep him in the pocket, not allow him to get out on the perimeter and make some of the throws that he's made. And then it's going to come down to contesting catches on the perimeter, right? They've got really good receivers, and they've got multiple really good receivers. So our DBs, our linebackers are going to have to do a good job of attacking the ball in the air, right? First of all, you got to be in position to do that. And then what I really think ultimately is going to come down to is how consistently can we tackle. A lot of their plays are quick throws that they've been able to catch and stretch, which they do a really good job of that. But we can't allow, the bubble screen or the tunnel screen that's thrown for a 2-yard, gain to end up in a 32-yard gain because we can't tackle the guy. Do I think this is going to be a 3-0 type ball game? No face masks, everybody with their hand in the dirt. No, I don't think that. But I think if we can consistently tackle, get the ball, attack the ball in the air, play good sound, gap control up front, I think we'll have a chance to be successful.
Coach, more than just the whole senior day aspect of it, the older guys on this team, they've been in these types of games before. Conference title game last year, they've played some of these winner-take-all games. I know obviously you haven't been around for all of those, but just in your experience when you get in these big games, how much does it help to have guys that are kind of aware of what that moment's like?
I've been in a few. Rose Bowl.
Sure.
National championships. I've been in.
So you've seen this kind of thing.
Yeah.
How much does it help having that experience?
Yeah. Well, I think two things. That's a good question. I'm joking with you. It's two things. One, I think consistency in your routine doesn't allow one game to get bigger than the other. Does that make sense? We're doing the same thing we did the third week of the season on a Tuesday. That's the consistency in the routine. Okay? That's the first thing. Second thing, I think when you do have guys in your locker room who have been in these type of environments, who have played in these type of games, it helps level the anxiety of the guys who may be, going through it for the first time. Or it helps level the anxiety for all the guys, even the guys that have been through it. It's kind of, again, if you can get consistent in your routine, that's why 90% of the winners in college football, like the top 15, when it all shakes out every year, probably going to be the most consistent, right? It's probably going to be the same team. Maybe a guy's 12, maybe a guy's 10. The top 4 may shuffle 2 or 3 spots. But the consistency in having guys in your program that have been successful and have played deep into the season, that are playing meaningful games, it helps ease the anxiety of this is a big game, this is a big game. Well, this is just another game. And if we prepare and we execute the same way we did in other games when we were successful, then there's a good chance in this game you're going to be successful. So I think having those guys in the locker room, having those guys on the team, on the field, it helps ease the anxiety. It helps the preparation stay consistent. All of a sudden we're not running so fast at practice that we can't even control ourselves because this is the week. If we can win, it's again, we've been here before. We know what we need to do from a preparation standpoint. I think it helps when the guys do leave our building, right? How do they prepare in their rooms? How do they rest in their rooms? Are they so anxiety high that they can't even go to sleep because this game is so much? And I think it eases a lot of that. So having multiple guys on this team really, I'm going to say probably 90%, minus the newcomers. Everybody's been in this situation before. So they've been going down the stretch, needing to play a really good opponent, needing to play them well to continue their season.
With that, Coach, we talked to Mike, and he basically said, hey, everybody's talking about their offense. Well, they got to deal with our defense. So from that competitive fire from the players and your staff? How much does an opportunity and a challenge like this get you guys motivated?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is why you play the game, right? I mean, you play the game to play the best, to play the most prolific, to play the best players, the best systems, the best teams, so you could truly measure where you are. I don't think any boxer goes in the ring saying, I'm going to get knocked out today. You know, you got to go in with the confidence that if I can do what I do well, I have a chance to be successful. And I think that's, you know, obviously when you're 18 to 22, it's like, yeah, they got to deal with it. I mean, but that's the confidence that you got to have. Do I think they're a very good offense? Yeah. And I think we have a very good defense. As a mature 38-year-old, my confidence is a little more, okay, let's make sure we prepare and let's make sure we execute and do what we do well. As 18 or 22, it's like, yeah, let me fight Mike Tyson. I want him, so it's a little bit of different, but the confidence is still the same. It's the confidence as a competitor. I think that's a little bit of a sign of respect to WKU, their staff, their coaches, their players, that our guys recognize how well they're doing, how well they play, and they are ready to accept the challenge, or they're up for the challenge. So I think it goes both ways. I think it's confidence from our program, and I think it's respect to their program that we see them as an elite competitive team.
Coach, talk about Bailey Zappi, their quarterback. What have you seen from his primary targeting in Stones throughout the years at over multi-hundred-yard games? What have you seen from him that you're telling your defensive guys to look for on Saturday?
Yeah, I think the one thing that you can't do in this system is try to say, hey, we got to look at one guy because there's multiple receivers doing a really good job. I think what you got to do is you got to play your defense really well. So if you're playing zone, you got to be in your zone. You got to understand the route combinations that can come from 3x1, 2x2, empty, whatever it may be. If you're playing man, you got to understand the routes that the man you're playing, whether it's Stearns or whether it's another guy, the routes he can run from that position versus, any other position. So this system, which is, set records for years, it's predicated on the quarterback being able to process through the system and not say, hey, when I drop back, I'm throwing it to this guy. It's him reading the defense, him taking advantage of the leverages, him taking advantage of man zone, 2 high, 1 high, whatever it may be. So defensively, we've got to be able to really, hey, do what we do well. I don't think we can go in it saying, hey, we got to stop, number 8, because then the other 3 or 4 guys will have a field day because that's the way the system's set up. I do think both of those guys are phenomenal players. I think right now their plan is probably as most consistent as any quarterback receiver duo in the country. I haven't watched everybody, but I think that's what the biggest thing that jumps out to me, how consistent they're playing right now.
How do you keep? Go ahead, Justin.
You talk about Western Kentucky's OC and quarterback Zappi and Stearns outcome Houston Baptist. How much have you guys in your preliminary scout work? How much did you look at Houston Baptist's offense last year, kind of maybe get like a little feel of the system?
I think it's a little different. What they're doing now is a little different than what they did at Houston Baptist. Obviously, different O-line. I think that's one thing that probably goes undervalued or undermentioned, how good their O-line is, because, the guy doesn't get hit very often. Obviously, he's getting the ball out quick, which is great, but he's got better protection than I'm assuming he did at Houston Baptist. So we haven't really looked at it. I think it's a different level. I think it's different everything. We've just focused on the breakdown of this year and what they're doing, how many times they're doing it, what are the tendencies, to kind of get ready for this team, if that makes sense.
Coach, how do you keep your guys? Obviously, they've put up a lot of points. Your guys on the offensive side, how do you keep them from trying to chase points and just keep them in system and keep their head right going into it? Yeah,
I think that's probably what they do a very good job of. I don't know if it's intentional or just by the product. They force the other offense to panic. And it's kind of like, hey, they scored in 3 plays. We got to score in 3 plays. And we talk to our guys. We got to do what we do well. And they have to do what they do well. And whoever does it the best and the most consistent will win. We can't chase each other. Like, defensive can't say, well, offense scores, so we got to come out and play better this drive than the next drive. Offensively, we can't come out and say, man, they went down and scored in 3 plays. Here we go. We got to score in this play from the -20. I don't think you can do that. And I think over time, they force some offenses to kind of, panic a little bit and press a little bit. And what that defense has been able to do is they've been able to get some turnovers. They've been able to get some stops. And then you're out of what you do well. I think preaching to our guys offensively, defensively, special teams, we got to do what we do well. We can't worry about what the other side is doing. That's where the complementary football comes in. Defense has got to do their job. Offense has got to come out and do their job. It can't be we got to score in 3 plays because they scored in 3 plays just to make the scoreboard match. We've got to be able to understand it's a 60-minute game. We got to be able to understand what we do is what we do, and what they do is what they do. They can't be us. We can't be them.
Coach, obviously a lot of storylines, both on and off the field with this game. How much does it help having a game that's this big like this at home, in the Dome, having fans? I saw Jeff O'Malley tweeted something out, if fans buy tickets, they can enter a raffle. You're really trying to get herd fans out to this game. This game is so big. How much does it help having a game like this at home?
Well, I would assume that the fans would come out for every game. When they hired me, I was told how much fan support Marshall had and how Marshall has been the top attended school in Conference USA for X amount of years. So it's just my anticipation or assumption that every game should be big, because to me, if you're a fan, you're not here to see the herd win or lose. You're here to support your team. I still go to Orioles games, and we haven't won a game in forever. But I still go, Section 327, seat 7 and 8. I still go. I go over and get my Boog's hot dog, and I go because I support the Orioles. I'm assuming that because Huntington and this community supports the herd, that they should be here just like they were for the first game, second game, last game. To me, now maybe I'm wrong, but to me that's what a fan does. A fan supports. A fan doesn't support when we win and not support when we lose, or support when it's a big game or not support when it's not a big game. You're a fan. You support. So my assumption is that what Herd Nation has done the entire year, they're going to continue to do. Maybe I'm wrong for assuming, but I still go to the Orioles games. I mean, it's been rough. Trust me, it's been rough, but I'm a fan.
Coach, I guess we had to ask you, have you read the Washington Post with this week or lately? They've been saying some nice things about you. In relation to a certain job opening. Have you?
Yeah, well, I stopped reading the internet after someone sent me a password to Tom Bragg's chat boards. And on there, I mean, you would think that either I'm the worst person in America or this team is the worst team in America. So I stopped reading the chat boards and websites and all that stuff probably after about the second quarter of the Navy game. So no, I have not. But I'm not naive. I mean, I get it. No, I have not been contacted, worked out. No, my agent has not, whatever. But I do think the acknowledgement is a tremendous respect for the product that our players are performing on the field. I do think the acknowledgement is a tremendous respect for this Marshall community. I do think the acknowledgement is a tremendous respect for everything that we're trying to build here. So if you send me that, email it to me. I won't read it on any other source other than email. Thank Tom for that. But no, I have not read it, if that's the question.
Anything else?
Yeah, Coach, you can sign up for just $1. You don't got to steal.
That's good. My wife controls the money, so I don't know if she'll give me $1 over my weekly allowance, but if she does, I will definitely sign up, and I'll be herd coach 38, and I will tell you guys all that should be happening in the program and how awful coaches we are. And then on the flip side, now I will say that they're fair, because when we win, they say we are great and everything went good, but we don't know about 3 weeks from now and if we'll be able. So trust me, I get it. I get it, and I will sign up. Coach 38, herd coach 38. When you see him post, that is me. Okay, so just let everybody know that the crazy herd coach 38 is he's on a rampage again.
You know you just heard up because her coach 38 just got created by somebody else.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, it's par for the course, though. I mean, they'll just throw something out, and it's great. I love it. I mean, it's great.
Honestly, though, whenever you're linked to a job like that, how, especially in a big game week like this, how do you minimize the distraction of that with your team? What do you say to those guys to try and keep the focus on Western?
Yeah, I don't think the reality of it is, I mean, my name is not Saban or Jimbo, so, I mean, the reality of, my name being linked to here or there, I don't think that that's as big a distraction, in some other realms, if that makes sense. To me, it's just like when they say that one of our players is up for whatever award, right? We don't acknowledge that and say, hey, this player is up for this award, so let's make sure we understand that. To me, it's part of the noise that we talked about, back in summer camp. The rat poison. People get paid to be on chat boards and make up anything. My mom could probably write an article that Charles Huff is going to retire and work on the family farm, and somebody's going to retweet it, and somebody's going to offer me, hey, coach, can I sponsor your farm? And out of nowhere, I'm going to be like, what are you talking about? So I think, again, it goes back to no different than if our players are getting acknowledged for awards or our players are getting acknowledged for, the big thing that we deal with, in our building is everybody's got a draft board, right? So now every time somebody makes a play, so-and-so moved up the draft board or so-and-so's projected in this round of the draft. To me, it's the same thing. It's noise, so should that player play different because someone moved him up their draft board or down their draft board? Should I coach different because someone said that, hey, I'm going to be coaching at USC next year? I don't think that that's, the reality of it. I understand it. And I understand that you guys have to, investigate and ask. The reality of it is when I got this job, my name wasn't in any paper. You guys didn't even know me. I showed up and, Keith was like, hey, who are you? I'm a new head coach here. He's like, oh, I thought you were the janitor. I was like, yeah, I get it. So the reality of it is it's all part of the noise. But I do think, again, it's a testament to what our players are doing on this field. They're not writing articles about a guy moving up the draft board who's sitting on the bench, whether the article makes sense or doesn't. So I think it's part of it. But no, in our building, it's part of the noise. We try to stay focused on the routine, focused on how in the hell we're going to stop Bailey, how in the heck we're going to score points. That's what we try to stay focused on, just like I'm sure our guys at this point in the season, right, are getting the agent calls and the are you coming back and, this draft. I'm sure our guys are getting that, and I asked them to manage that and block out that noise. So I have to do the same thing.
Anything else?
Coach, I'll be your assistant janitor anytime you want.
Hey, man, I'll tell you, it's a tough job, man. I'm tough on the details, so we're gonna have to scrub the toilets twice. So just be prepared.
I got you. I'd be willing to bet it pays more than media too.
University benefits. Sign me up.
Well, again, guys, like I said, I appreciate you guys. I wish all of you guys a happy Thanksgiving. I'm hoping somebody got a buck. Is going to bring some deer jerky by the shoey in the next few weeks, but I don't know, haven't got it yet. But again, happy Thanksgiving to all you guys. Thank you for everything you do. Look forward to seeing you all Saturday. Go Herd.